Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nishiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah.
Govindaya Namo Namah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, anyone remember the chapter that we studied last week? Okay. Vidur? Yeah, Vidur approaches Maitreya. Yes. Yeah. Vidura approaches Maitreya. So what had happened was, just to recap, just so we can get the context, Vidurji met Udhavji on the bank of Yamuna. And then they discussed about, Vidurji had questions about Lord Krishna. And then Udhavji spoke about Krishna Leela in Vrindavan, out of Vrindavan. And then finally, Vidurji asked from Udhavji that the knowledge that you gain from Krishna, can you give that knowledge to me? Can you share that with me? That was Vidurji asking in that chapter. But then Udhavji told Vidur that you should go and see Maitreya Rishi. So there are three, persons here: Udhavji, Maitreyaji, and Vidurji. Udhavji and Maitreyaji had a direct audience with Lord Krishna on the bank of Saraswati river. And then Lord Krishna went back to his abode. And from there, Maitreyaji went to Haridwar on the bank of Ganges. And Udhavji was on his way to Badrikashram. He was on his way to Badrikashram. He reached Yamuna, on the bank of Yamuna. And that's where Vidurji also reached there at the same time. So it is very important to understand that in all of these dealings, how we should see hand of Krishna. It was not coincidence. It was all arranged by Krishna. And we will talk about that. So then, Udhavji told Vidurji that he got that knowledge about the Supreme Lord. That he asked, when Krishna was about to leave, then Udhavji asked him that, my dear Lord, please give me that transcendental. And then Krishna told Udhav that I spoke Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam first to Brahmaji, and I'm going to give you that same knowledge passed on to you. But in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that the knowledge that Brahmaji got was Chaturshloki Bhagavatam, but the knowledge that Udhavji got was much higher. We should understand the difference. Why it was higher? Because this knowledge that he got, it had Lord's pastimes. He had Lord's Leela Katha. One knowledge we get is mundane knowledge. Mundane, let me take that word back. But we get one knowledge about the facts. You understand the facts. This is how creation happened. Before the creation, Krishna was there. He was the only one. But here, in that knowledge, if you add Krishna Katha, pastimes, Lord's pastimes, if we hear that, then that is more potent. Because that will help us develop the loving That is the whole point. How we develop love unto the feet of Supreme Lord Krishna. That is the whole objective. That is the bhakti. Otherwise, it is not knowledge. It is called apranasya dehasya mandalam lokranjanam. It is like decorating a body, a dead body, if you don't have that love. So Uddhavji got that knowledge. And then Vidurji asked him, Gnanam param swa maraha prakasham yad aha yoge shwar ishwaraste vaktum bhavano arhati yadhi vishnu Bhritya swabhrityartha kritas charanti. So Vidurji said to Uddhav that transcendental knowledge which himself Lord Yogeshwar spoke to you and which is Raha, which is secret, that secret knowledge, please give it to me. Please share that with me, because Vishnu Bhritya, the servant of Vishnu, what do? All of their activities is to help, is to serve their servants. Vishnu Bhritya Swa Bhrityarth Charati. Kritant, actually, in this one. Swa Bhrityarth Kritat. Bhritya Arth, servant's welfare. All your activities are for the welfare of your servant. So you understand the chain. Lord Vishnu's servant, this is how Vidurji is speaking to Uddhavji, that you are a servant of Vishnu or Krishna and I am your servant. And the quality of servant of Vishnu is they work for the welfare of their servants. So please share that knowledge with me. But as he asked that, now Uddhavji told him, Nanu te tattva samradhya kausharvo antike rishi kausharvo antike Sakshad Bhagavad Adishto Martyalokam Jihasata. As soon as Vidurji asked him to be his spiritual master, Uddhavji was very careful. He realized his position. Because Vidurji was as old as his father. So he told him, no, Nanute Tattva Samradhya. If you want to know about that transcendental knowledge, then Rishi Kausharvo Antike. You should go and see Maitreya Rishi, who is close by. And just before Sakshat, in front of me, Lord Krishna had told Maitreya ji that you should pass on this knowledge to Vidura. So that's what he's saying. In my presence, Martya Lokam Jihasata. Before Supreme Lord Krishna was going back to his abode, in front of me, he had told Maitreya that you should pass on this knowledge to Vidura. And as Vidura heard that, he started crying. He started crying that how fortunate I am. Lord Krishna remembered me before he left this Martya Lok. And then Uddhavji, from there he went to Badrikashram, right? Badrinath, to perform austerity there. Yatra Narayano Deva. Yeah. In Badrikashram, who is there? Nar Narayan. Narascha Bhagavan Rishi. Yeah. In Badrikashram, who is there? Nar Narayan Rishi. Nar is none other than Arjuna, and Narayan is Lord Krishna himself. Right. Where they are performing austerity. Yeah. What kind of austerity? Mridum, Tivram, very softly, very important. Sometimes people perform austerity out of frustration. They get frustrated from life and then they say, oh, now I'm going to win Krishna. Krishna, 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 Krishna. You know, I'm going to catch Krishna. No, they perform mridu, very softly. So that's why when we do Kirtan, we should be very softly calling out his name. As a beloved is calling the lover, slowly, slowly chant his name. And when you're chanting his name, try to visualize in your mind his leela, his pastimes, his body features. He's wearing pitambar. His hairs are, curly hairs. So visualize that, so softly chant. So that's the kind of tapasya, austerity they were performing. Yatra Narayano Deva Narascha Bhagavan Rishi. In Badrikashram, that's what. And they are doing mridum, very soft. Tivram. Tivram means as soon as they start chanting the Lord's name, their mind straight away catches that vision of Krishna. This is what is called Tivram. Softly but Tivram. Right? And Dirgham, for a long time. And for what purpose? Tepe te lok bhavanam. For the welfare of the people, they are performing those steps. So he was instructed by Lord Krishna. Uddhavji went to Badrikashram and Vidurji, he stayed for a few days. Kalindi Nadya, on the bank of Kalindi, on the bank of Yamuna, and then he went to Haridwar to see Maitreya. So today, Vidurji will be asking questions from Maitreya. Yeah. So let us get into that mood and see how the conversation between two great devotees of the Lord is going to happen. Yeah. So let's read this verse together. I will share my screen with the everybody can see my screen. And so you all understand the context, right? Now Vidurji is going and he is meeting Maitreya Rishi. And Maitreya Rishi, as I said last time, he's a friend of Vyasdev. Yeah? Please repeat. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sasraddhana Savivardhamana. Sasraddhana Savivardhamana. Virakti manyatra karoti pumsaha. Virakti manyatra karoti pumsaha. Hare padanu samriti nirvritasya. Hare padanu smriti nirvritasya. Samast dukkha pi ayamashu dhatte. Samast dukkha pi ayamashu dhatte. So this is spoken by Vidurji. So while asking question, he is also sharing his views. Yeah? So this verse is spoken by Vidurji. Let's understand the meaning. Word by word translation by Srila Prabhupada ki. Please repeat. Sa. Those topics of Krishna or Krishna Katha. Shraddhadhanasya. Of one who is anxious to hear. Vivardhamana. Gradually increasing. Viraktim. Indifference. Anyatra. In other things than such topics. Karoti. Does. Pumsah, of one who is so engaged. Hare, of the Lord. Padanusmriti, constant remembrance of the lotus feet of the Lord. Nirvratasya, one who has achieved such transcendental bliss. Samasta dukkha, all miseries. Api ayam, vanquished. Ashu, without delay. Dhatte, executes. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki. For one who is anxious to engage constantly in hearing such topics, Krishna Katha gradually increases his indifference towards all other things. Such constant remembrance of the Lord, of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna by the devotee who has achieved transcendental bliss, vanquishes all his miseries without delay. Yeah. So what Vidurji is speaking here is, or what he's stating is that as we are anxious to engage in hearing the Krishna Katha, topics of Krishna, as you are anxious, then gradually you become indifferent to other topics. Indifferent means you start moving away from other topics. Gramya Katha. That's what Sanatana Goswami, when he went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he submitted. He said, Apanara hit ahit kichu nai jani, gramya vyavhare pandit tai satyamani. He says, I don't know my good or bad, but I am very pandit in gramya vyavhar. In material dealings, I am very expert. He was the Prime Minister. He says, gramya vyavhare, I am pandit, and I think that is the truth. And then he makes a submission that please tell me if you really want to uplift me, if you really want to help me, please tell me what is the purpose. Ke ami? Kene amar? Who am I? Why these three modes of nature are tormenting me? Kene amar tap traya jai. Because these three taps, why they are burning me? Why they are tormenting me? Iha nahi jani hit ke mane hoy. If I don't know this, then how will I be able to look after myself? So please tell me. And that starts with hearing the Krishna Katha. That's what Vidurji is saying. As we hear more and more Krishna Katha, we become indifferent to materialistic topics. And when we become indifferent to materialist topic, Hare Padanusmriti, Nivritasya. When we become nivrit, when we become detached from other things by constant remembrance of the lotus feet of the Lord. And then samasta dukkhapi ayam ashu dhatte. All the miseries, ashu, as in very quickly they go. See, such a simple process just by hearing the Krishna. So you get more context, but that's what this verse is about. Yeah. Now let's hear the purport from Srila Prabhupada. Please hear. We must certainly know that on the absolute plane, Krishna Katha and Krishna are one and the same. The Lord is the absolute truth, and therefore his name, form, quality, etc., which are all understood to be Krishna Katha, are non-different from him. See, Prabhupada is saying his name is also Krishna Katha, his form is also Krishna Katha, his quality is also Krishna Katha. Anything about Krishna is Krishna Katha, anything spoken about Krishna is also Krishna Katha. Anything about the devotees of Krishna is also Krishna Katha, because that is in relation to Krishna. Vakshaye Krishna Kathayodayam. Parikshito ath Raj Rishe Janma Karma Vilapanam. Sansthanscha Pandu Putranam Vakshaye Krishna Kathodaya. I am telling you about the deliverance of Parikshit Maharaj. I am going to tell you about the liberation of Pandavas because that is going to give rise to Krishna Katha. I am going to speak about that. So that is the point. Are non-different from him. Bhagavad Gita being spoken by the Lord is as good as the Lord himself. When a sincere devotee reads Bhagavad Gita, this is as good as seeing the Lord face to face in his personal presence. But this is not so for the mundane wrangler. All the potencies of the Lord are there when one reads Bhagavad Gita, provided it is read in the way recommended in the Gita by the Lord himself. It is recommended by the Lord himself how to read it. Very good. One cannot foolishly manufacture an interpretation of Bhagavad Gita and still bring about transcendental benefit. Anyone who tries to squeeze some artificial meaning or interpretation from Bhagavad Gita for an ulterior motive is not Shraddhadhana Pumsa. One engaged anxiously in bona fide hearing of Krishna Katha. Very important, Prabhuji, that anxiety has to be there. You are anxious, that's why you came. So that anxiety has to be. If you don't have it, we should pray to have that anxiety. Okay, Rosai. Such a person cannot derive any benefit from reading Bhagavad Gita, however great a scholar he may be in the estimation of a layman. That's the point. Like I said, apranasya dehasya mandalam lokranjanam. It is like decorating a dead body for the pleasure of the people in general. You just decorate yourself with tilak, dhoti, kurta, and people say, "Oh, you are such a wonderful devotee." No, that doesn't work like that. Yeah. The Shraddhadhana or faithful devotee can actually derive all the benefits of Bhagavad Gita because by the omnipotency of the Lord, he achieves the transcendental bliss which vanquishes attachment and nullifies all concomitant material miseries. Only the devotee by his factual experience can understand the import of this verse spoken by Vidura. The pure devotee of the Lord enjoys life by constantly remembering the lotus feet of the Lord by hearing Krishna Katha. For such a devotee, there is no such thing as material existence, and the much advertised bliss of Brahmananda is like a fig for the devotee who is in the midst of the transcendental ocean of bliss. Yeah? Brahmananda, people who want to merge into the Brahman. That's what Srila Prabhupada is saying. Right? As compared to that, the transcendental ocean of bliss is much more potent. That is what devotees desire. Okay, let's do Mangalacharan and then we will discuss further. Please repeat. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Nama Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamlam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvita Tam Sajivam Savadetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakvitanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpati Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubha Evacha Kanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Nama Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. भूतेर महद्भिर यैमा पुरो विभो निर्माय शेते यदमोष पुरुष भुङ्क्ते गुणान् षोडश षोडशात्मकम् सोलंक सृष्ट भगवान वचांसि मे श्री कृष्ण शरणं शरणागतं कथा अमृतं सतत पीबतं भक्ति वेदांत मार्ग पंथनम सर्वलोक ऋषिदे जन्म प्रसन्नम सर्वलोक ऋषिदे जन्म प्रसन्ना. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji, please pray for me. May the right words come at the right time. May I am truly able to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. May I am able to serve Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. Hare Krishna. So, we are studying from 5th chapter today, 3.5. Let me share my screen with you, so that we understand what is there in the just doing slideshow. Okay. So Vidur's talk with Maitreya. So Vidurji now has gone to on the bank of Ganges and he has found Maitreya Rishi there and he is going to speak to him. So this is the title of the chapter. So this chapter has 5 sections. Vidur questions to Maitreya Rishi, then Vidur's exclusive interest in Krishna Katha. He questions and then he also tells his mood that he is exclusively interested in exclusively hearing about Lord Shri Krishna. And then Maitreya Rishi then honored Vidur and expressed gratitude. So that is how, you know, how in corporate world today you say, you ask a question and then the speaker says, that's a very good question. So they've all learned from the scriptures. This is already going on many thousands of years ago. Yeah. So they respect each other. And then Maitreya Rishi describes the process of creation. So this is the 4th time we will be studying the process of creation. In the 2nd canto 3 times, and this is 4th time the process of creation. It is very interesting. I hope by now you will not be bored because you have already heard it 3 times. And today it will be interesting. Yeah. So let's understand the process of creation. Very important. And then the elemental demigods offered prayers to the Lord. So you might be wondering, who are those demigods? What are they doing? Yeah. So again, very interesting thing. It is very important to understand that in the functioning of the body, there are so many parts involved. There are so many energies involved. We very lightly think this is my body, this is me, but no. Behind this creation, you will see the science, how each and every part of the body is formed. So let's develop that interest to understand how Lord Krishna has created this body. Okay. So the first part, Vidur's question to Maitreya Rishi. So what happens, Prabhuji Mataji? Now Maitreya Rishi, Vidurji has gone on the bank of Gangaji, and then as he goes, so Shukdev Goswami is now telling Parikshit Maharaj that Dwari Dunadya Rishbha Kuruna. Dwari is on the door. Dew as in that river, that's auspicious river, right? And Dew also means Dev, because Ganges has come from Devlok. It is also called Dev Nadi. Yeah. So Dew, that Dev, Nadya is in river. Rishbha Kuruna, the best of the Kurus, who is Mahatma Vidur. When he reached Haridwar, on the bank of Gangaji, then what did he see? Maitreyam asinam agad bodham. He saw Maitreya Rishi sitting on the bank of Ganges, who has agad bodham, who had so much knowledge. Agad means that you can measure the depth. Gad means depth, and agad means immeasurable depth. So he had so much knowledge, so much aura. As Maitreya Vidurji reached on the bank of Ganges, Maitreyam asinam agad bodham. He saw him sitting there. And then Shatta, another name for Vidurji, right? Uparamat, he went closer to him. He went closer to him, and then what did he do? Then he's described as Saushilya. Sushil means very sushil, very calm, very peaceful, very respectful, right? So with that mood, Vidurji, with that mood, Saushilya, with that mood, and then he offered his obeisances to him, right? And then another quality that Shukdev Goswami is saying is that he was Achyut Bhav Buddha. Achyut is another name for Lord Krishna. His bhav was, he was completely immersed into the remembrance, he was totally surrendered to the infallible Lord. And when you are surrendered to the infallible Lord, you also become infallible. Otherwise, we are all fallible. Right? So very important. This is how you are approaching. You are approaching someone for a question. You are not approaching someone to challenge. Very often we ask a question in a challenging tone. My Guru Maharaj was saying sometime they were praising that, look, these brahmacharis, these sannyasis, they were performing such austerity, so much service. And then one grasta stood up. What do you think? We are nothing? We don't do anything? Grasta. All the ashrams, survive on grasta ashram. All other three ashrams, brahmacharya, vanprastha, and sannyas, right? They say all the ashrams survive on grasta ashram. Are we not any use? Are we not any good? And then people had to calm it down. No, calm down. See, so the mood is when you are asking the question. First of all, he himself was Achyut Bhav Buddha. Right? He was totally surrendered to the Supreme Lord. That is why he got that mood. Saushilya. Guna Vitrapta. He had transcendental qualities. Vidurji had developed transcendental qualities because he was totally surrendered to the infallible Lord. And he reached on the bank of Ganges and he saw Maitreyam Asinam Agad Bodham, who had so much knowledge. He saw Maitreya sitting there. Now, as he goes there, he makes his first inquiry. He says, my dear sir, Vidur Uvacha, he starts asking him that Karoti Karmani Sukhaya Loko. In this world, and that applies to all of us. He says, in this world, my dear sir, people are karoti karmani. They are doing all these activities for sukh, to get happiness. Karoti karmani sukhaya loko natai sukham va naduparamam va vindet bhuyas tat eva dukkham yadatra yuktam bhagavan vadennaha. So he is making a very valid inquiry. He says that in this lok, all the living entities are performing actions to be happy. Right? But instead of getting the happiness, what happens? He says their miseries actually increase. Their miseries increase. The so-called happiness that they're looking for, no, that doesn't happen. Every action they do, you think you will get a nice house, you build a nice house. Materialistic creation, right? You build a nice house for happiness, then in the house there is some problem. Then there is some problem. I remember, I give you my example. We were building a house. People said you should build a double-story house because then children can have some priority or privacy. We were looking for a single-story house, to build a single-story house. Then the room was not enough. They said how to give individual rooms to the children. So they said you should make a double-story house. You get plenty of space. Build a double-story house, plenty of space. Now, when we were building, all the people were saying, "How old are you?" And then they started giving their example. He said, "Look, I have my house for last 3 years. I haven't gone upstairs. How old are you? Will you be able to go up? You won't be able to go up." You know? But then what to do? You thinking you will make happy, you will solve the problem. So the point is being happy, and we were trying to solve a problem. But Vidurji is saying the more you try to solve the problem, the more entangled you become. Now we solve the problem, right? But you already now thinking. Sometimes you don't feel like going upstairs. You think downstairs is better. And then you start telling children, "Okay, I'm better here only. I'm getting older now," right? And then there is no point. You have spent so much time and energy. So you try to solve one problem. Now there is another problem. Now who is going to clean the rooms? There's no time. If you can't go up, who will clean it? You tell children to clean the room. They say, "No, Dad, I don't want to clean. I will move out." And there's another problem. You wanted to give them individual rooms. Now they want to move out. Very soon they said, "No, I will actually live in a unit. No maintenance." One day I tell my son, "Please clean the grass." No, I don't want to work in the backyard. I told him, "You should not go for a movie with the friends." And then I say, "Clean the yard." He said, "No, I don't want to clean the stupid lawn," because you stopped him from going to the movie. What do you do? See, so this is what Vidurji is saying. Karoti karmani sukhaya lok. You do all the karmas to get happiness. But no, my dear sir. Rather, what happens? Their miseries increase. Their miseries are increasing, and at the same time, they are not satiated by continuing these efforts. You are trying to solve the problem. You think, "I've just solved it." Then you think you have solved it, but then there is another problem. Then you think you have just solved it, that everything will be fine. Like people say, "I've got this car, now aircon is installed, this is installed, everything is nicely done." And then the moment you realize the tap is leaking, aircon is broken, something is broken, right? Then you are again on the phone call with the tradies and all. So this is literally our body. Similarly, human body. You fix your tooth, and then there is a problem in the arm. You fix the arm, then the knees are giving up, right? And then by the time you realize there is wheelchair, there is this, and so this is the real problem. So that's what Vidurji is raising a question, very basic problem. So he says people performing these activities for happiness, but my dear sir, their miseries increase. So then he's submitting, he's saying, "Please tell me, Vaden Nahat, unto me, please speak. Yeah? Please speak unto me that, right? Yadatra yuktim." Yukti, yukti means a scheme. Ukti means speaking, and yukti means scheme. Right? Often you hear in the movies, "Maine yukti lagai." I applied my intelligence and I came up with an idea. But no, that's different. So he is saying, Yadatra. Therefore, my dear sir, here in this world, what is the solution? Bhagavan, he is addressing in Bhagavan. Oh, my dear, something you will find in Bhagavatam at some places, they have been addressed as a Bhagavan. Rishis, Naradji is sometimes addressed as Bhagavan. It doesn't mean they have replaced the God. It means they have realized the God. There's a difference. They haven't replaced the God. They haven't become the master of the six opulences. But they are surrendered to the God, and from their complete surrender, they have become equal to God. Like Lord Ram. It is said Lord Ram, when he was in the, he was in the forest. So Tulsidas, when he glorifies Lord Ram, he says that Prabhu tarutar kapidar par tekiye aap saman. Prabhu tarutar, Lord is sitting under the tree, kapidar par. The monkeys are on the branches. He is sitting in the shade of the tree, and monkeys are jumping on the branches. They are above the Lord. Normally as etiquette, somebody is sitting senior, we don't go up, right? But here Goswamiji is saying that that Lord is so merciful. He's so merciful that he made those monkeys equal to him. They were running around, they were jumping on his head. He wasn't complaining. So they became equivalent. Yeah. Hanuman was chanting Lord's name. Yeah. And it is said that Lord Hanuman had controlled Lord Ram. Apne bas kar rakhe Ram. He knew the potency of the holy name, and by chanting the holy name, he had controlled Lord Ram. Apne bas kar rakhe Ram. He had controlled Lord Ram. Lord Ram as if he is ready to take instructions. Yeah. So here Vidurji is asked, so I just wanted to stress on this point. If you see word Bhagavan, don't be confused. Sometimes their addresses. So he is addressing Maitreya as Bhagavan, that in this world people try to solve the problems, but the problems increase. So please tell me what is the solution? What should be done? So that is one of the questions that Vidurji is asking. So Vidur's questions. How to mitigate the distress. So that is the first question. So it applies to all of us. And then he further makes a submission to Maitreya. He tells him that, my dear Lord, people like yourself, yeah, Krishnad vimukhasya, janasya Krishnad vimukhasya, daivad adharmshilasya, sudukhitasya, yeah, anugrihaya charanti nunam, bhutani bhavyam, bhutani bhavyani janardanasya. So he says, he's addressing him now, Janardanasya, that you are the person of Bhagavan Janardan. And they show mercy to the people who, what kind of people? He says, those people, Krishnad Vimukhasya, who has turned away from Krishna. Krishnad Vimukhasya. Daivad, due to providence, Adharma Shilasya, they are performing all the irreligious activities. And then he says they are like Sudukhitasya. Dukh means miserable. And Sudukhitasya means superlative degree. Durlabh means very difficult, and Sudurlabh is even more difficult. So in that sense, Vidurji is saying that Sudukhitasya. They are not just, misery. They are in the superlative sense miseries. For those people, he says, Anugrahaya, to show mercy to those people, Charanti Nunam, people like yourself, they wander. Who are the people of Janardan? Janardan is who is Supreme Lord. And his address is Janardan, because who can do Ardhan? Ardhan means kill. And kill what? Kill your miseries, as well as kill the enemies. That is why he is called as Janardan. Bhava Grahi Janardan. He just takes your bhava. So that in that sense, he is addressing him as Janardan. So that Supreme Lord Janardan, you are the Janardan's person, right? Bhutani Bhavyani, you are the person of Janardan, and my dear Lord, your only occupation, your only purpose is to solve, is to help these people who are Krishnad Vimukhasya, who have turned away from Krishna, who are performing all the non-religious activities, right? And Daivat, right? Due to the providence, and who are Sudukhitasya, who are so much misery. So my dear Lord, please speak to me. And then what does he want to speak? As if Maitreya asks, what do you want me to speak? So Vidurji then says, my dear Lord, please give me that knowledge. Please give me that knowledge, that jnanam sa tattva, that tattva knowledge, that essence knowledge, please give it to me. By getting that knowledge, sthite hridi, yachati bhakti pute. By that knowledge, the Supreme Lord who is sitting inside everyone's heart. Give me that knowledge, or give me from that knowledge, I perform that action. And by performing that action, that Supreme Lord who is sitting inside everyone's heart, Hridi Sthite, Yachati, who gives Bhakti Pute, people who are completely immersed, or they get immersed into the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. Please give me that knowledge, And by that knowledge, the Supreme Lord will start directing me from inside. He will speak from inside and he will give me directions. Very often we come into state of mind in our lives. We say, Bhagavan, what is this? Please guide me. Please show me the path. Please tell me about please tell me where I'm going. So that's what Vidurji is asking. So this is his first question about how to mitigate distress. And we will hear the answer later. But we understand the question, we understand the position, the condition of the people, what kind of people, we are all in that category, right? Sudukhitasya, right? Adharmashilasya, Krishnad Vimukasya, right? And we are doing all those sort of activities to become happy by trying to fix the problems, materialistic problems of life, as if we can be happy eternally. Yeah. I told you once there was this person, I met him and I just could not comprehend. He was living in the UK, and from UK he migrated. He was living in Gosford, and I met him there. And we had a conversation. I asked him, how are you feeling and how are you happy? He said, I'm so happy here. I'm just enjoying it. And the best part of my life is every day I wake up and I get to see the sea. I get to see the ocean from my window. And it makes me so happy. Ocean is still there. Every day he wakes up, he will say ocean is there, and he feels so happy. That's the level of happiness. That's the level of desire. These are called the lowest and lowest level of desire. It's good the ocean should be there, but we should be thinking about what is the purpose. What is the purpose of my life? So these kind of people, Vidurji has asked the question, right? Please tell me by which the Supreme Lord from inside will start that. And that will become the solution for mitigating the distress. Then he asks next question about the Purusha avatars. Right? He says, and once again, like I said, we've been discussing there are three kind of Purusha avatars. What are they? Anyone remember? First start Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. So we start in the order. First is Mahavishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu, right? Who is lying in the Karana ocean, right? And it is from his body these various universes are coming out. As he breathes out, exhales and inhales. As he exhales, the universes come out. As he inhales, the universes go back into his mouth, or they go inside. So he is the Karanodakshaya Vishnu. That is the Purusha avatar. First. Then the next expansion is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Right? And the third expansion is Shirodakshaya. So these are the three. So Vidurji is asking about, please tell me about these Purusha avatars. And very basic question once again. And this question is elaborated in the verse. The translation says, he's asking Maitreya, how does Lord create? How does he maintain? How does he make arrangement for the living? As we say, living as in your food, shelter, everything. So that is the question he's asking, the maintenance. How does Lord arranges for the maintenance of all the living entities? Very often we say that, there is ant under the stone. She also gets her food. But we don't believe in that. We are still striving. And we should strive, but at the same time, we should have some level of surrender to the Supreme Lord. That, my dear, okay, today my needs are taken care. Tomorrow you will make some other arrangement as well. So that level of surrender. So he's asking these very basic questions, that how the creation happens, how the maintenance happens, and how the annihilation happens. How do you maintain? Because all that is done through the Purusha avatars. So he asked that first question, second question. Then he asks many forms. The Lord take many forms at the time of creation. All these different forms you see. Yasya Brahma Dayo Deva Veda Lokas Charachara. Gajendraji, when he's offering the prayers, he is saying, Yasya Brahma Dayo Deva. From whom, starting with Brahma, all the devas, all the demigods. So starting with Brahma. Brahma Adayo Deva. Veda Lokas Charachara. The scriptures, all the planets, all the loks, moving and non-moving things. And there is created, that comes Falgu Kalaya Krita Chayat. By his small potency, all this is happening. So how is taking these various forms? Again, I was reading yesterday. We should look around. I was reading, and you know, the ex-president Barack Obama's wife. In her book, she was being interviewed, and she said that I was very insecure when I was growing up. She said, while growing up as a black woman, as a tall black woman, always made her conscious. She always had that complex about herself. And even now she gets those feelings. She's 58-year-old, by the way. And even now she feels that, you know, I'm not that good looking. She was conscious about her form. And all through. She said until those Williams sisters, those tennis champions, until they came up, for a black woman in America, there was no, like, they were always so conscious. But through this success, everybody started feeling, no, there's no difference. So we are so body conscious. So like this, all the different forms. So Vidurji is asking that different forms that Supreme Lord is taking. Please explain about that. So please remember these questions. Then the further reading becomes very interesting. And then he is asking the Leela Avtaras. The Leela Avtaras that Supreme Lord take Leela Avtaras, he is very clearly defined or mentioned in the verse. That is those Leela Avtaras that Supreme Lord take for protecting the cows, for protecting the Brahmanas, right? And for looking after the demigods. Right? He takes these Leela Avtaras. Take, for example, Bhagwan Narsim Bhagwan. Narsim Bhagwan, he appeared for what? To protect Prahlad Maharaj. Demigods were very much afraid and worried about Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu will go and beat them up. They were all scared of him. Right? So he took that incarnation. So he protected Prahlad Maharaj. He protected Brahmanas because Hiranyakashipu was stopping them from performing the the sadhana and the worship of the Supreme Lord. So he appeared that. When the Supreme Lord appeared as Hiranyaksh, again the demigods were in trouble. Mother Earth was taken into the bottom of the ocean. So these various Leela Avtaras he wants to understand. Very basic questions, we ignore them. But if we focus, you can understand the whole process of creation. And through this process, the idea is we appreciate the arrangement of the Supreme Lord. And then we develop that loving devotion service. You get it? Because sometimes we as human beings, we only respect the might. Somebody senior comes, somebody has opulent, somebody has big car, somebody has so much rich and this, and then we develop some level of respect. But what to speak of them? Here, he is the, Jagadanda Nath. He is the Nath of the whole Jagat. That's Supreme Lord, how he operates. Let's understand that. Let's speak of the higher subject. Right? And you can't understand through logic by making submissive inquiries. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena seva. That's what Vidurji did. He went and he surrendered to Maitreya. Before that, he surrendered to Uddhavji. See that level of surrender, and now he will get the transcendental knowledge. And what was his bhav? Achyut bhav siddha. With that move he went. So Leela Avtaras, he's asking that. And then he asked about various planets. We're trying to study the planets through the books, but in third canto, in fifth canto, we're going to talk through all the planetary systems. You will get such a level of detail, the scientists have no clue. Fifth canto, it is all explained so nicely. Third canto, we'll read Bhagavan Kapildev speaks to Mother Devati. How a child is, born in the womb of the mother. How he takes form, etc. So planets, we have 14 planets. Right? How those planets are hanging together. How various living entities. Yes. There is hellish planet. Once I remember one of my cousin, I heard him, he was telling a story to his younger cousin. And then he was reading from Krishna book. And he told him a story from Krishna book, and he told about hellish planets. He told him that story. After some time, they got into an argument. And then the younger one said, I'm going to throw you into hell. Just before he had heard the story from him. And he said, now I'm going to throw you into the hell. And so these planets, how they're hanging together, how their rulers are appointed, how there is life there. You have to understand. Scientists are going, oh, there is water on the Mars, there is this, there is. You study Bhagavatam, every detail is there. Yeah? So, very valid question. And then the living creatures, how we are different, how we have different forms. We look different. It is not by chance. It is because of our previous karmas. I was reading once it is said that people who have come back from heavenly planets, you look at them, they have a different, from their body features, you can tell. You know, sometimes people say, oh, he looks like a demigod. He looks like a devta. So naturally, they have come back from there. They have sort of fallen down from there. And people who are coming up from hellish planets, you say, to Rakshasa, he looks like a demon. Right? You see people. So that is not by chance. So he's asking various living creatures, which is 8.4 million species of life, everyone, not just human beings. Human beings are only 400,000. He is asking about all the living creatures, how they take bodies, how the forms, etc. Interesting. So now, after asking these questions, right, then in asking these questions, towards the end, now Vidurji tells Maitreya that I have these questions, but my dear sir, I don't want to go too much detail about these questions. My main objective is to listen about Hari Katha. I want to know about the Krishna Katha, right? And as he says that I want to know about the Krishna Katha, then Maitreya tells him, you must have heard Krishna Katha from Vyasdev. Vyasdev is Vidur's father, right? You are the son of Vyasdev. You must have heard the Katha from him. He said, no, I have heard a Katha from him. But the Katha that I have heard from him, it is not, I mean, I have heard for, like, you know, because Vyasdev has written various Puranas. He has written Mahabharata. He says, yeah, I've written. But in that, he says, Para Varesham Bhagavan Vritani. Right? Para Varesham. Para is the higher, Varesham, higher and the lower. Para is higher, Avara is lower. He said, I have heard about from Vyasdev, yeah, that lower and higher class of people, Vritani, how they perform their occupation. I have heard about that. Yeah. Shrutani me Vyas Mukhad Abhikshanam. I've heard many times, multiple times from the mouth of Vyasdev. Then asked Maitreya, then what is the problem? He says, I have heard that, but atripnum. I'm not satisfied. Why you are not satisfied? He says, Shulla Sukha Vasayana. Shulla Sukhaya. That gives me very limited happiness. As compared to Krishna, Tesham Rite Krishna Katham Rito Ghat. Krishna Kathamrit Oghat. Oghat means flood. Oghat means stream. He says that nectar of Krishna Katha, that flood of Krishna Katha, that flowing in comparison to that, what I've heard from Vyasdev, yes, I've heard from the occupation of the lower and upper class, but that only gives Shulla Sukhaya Vahana. That only gives limited happiness, and I'm not satisfied. And he says, yes, your friend Vyasdev is telling Maitreya Rishi, your friend Vyasdev has written Mahabharata. In reading Mahabharata, the whole purpose of reading Mahabharata is to do what? Is to read Bhagavad Gita. In Mahabharata, there are various stories. Mahabharata, there's various stories, how Pandavas, Kauravas, this and that. But the central part of Mahabharata is Bhagavad Gita. He says, yes, your friend Vyasdev has written Mahabharata, but he has written that with the purpose that when people hear about this Laukik Katha, hear about these stories, various stories, they will ultimately come and study Bhagavad Gita. The central theme is Bhagavad Gita. But they get so bewildered and they just hear those stories. But still he says, but by hearing that Katha, people who are hearing that Katha, that my dear sir, by hearing that Katha, that is today's verse. Sashraddhana Savivraddhamana. Please repeat. Sashraddhana Savivardhamana Virakti Manyatra Karoti Pumsa. Karoti Pumsa. So he says Sashraddhanasya. People who have the faith, who are hearing that katha with a mood to develop loving to develop that attraction for Krishna katha. Sashraddhanasya. With the strong faith, people are hearing that katha. And by hearing that katha, what happens? Virakti manyatra. Their attachment somewhere else goes away. When their attachment somewhere else goes away, then what they do? Hare padanusmrata. Then they have the constant remembrance of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And we have the constant remembrance of the Supreme Lord, then what happens? Samast dukkha piyamashu datte. All the miseries, samast, completely, all the miseries, my dear sir, they get removed ashu very quickly if they hearing that katha with all shraddha. So this answered the first question that he was asking, how to remove the distress of the living entities. And then he says, my dear sir, I don't want to hear any other topic. You are such an exalted person, like a bee goes into the flowers and get the essence of all the flowers. So you get me the essence of all the katha. Katham eva, Hari katham eva kathasu sara. Right? The sar, the essence of all the katha is to Hari Katha. Please tell me the Hari Katha. That's all I want to hear, my dear sir. So please speak to me more about Krishna Katha. And more importantly, I want to hear that Supreme Lord, when he appears as Krishna and Ram, and he performed those various pastimes, please speak to me how he takes those appearances or incarnations to maintain, to create, to protect, and for the annihilation of this materialistic universe. Please speak to me about that. So these were the first questions from set of questions from section 1 and section 2. Questions asked by him first, and the second is he has completely clarified that he only wants to hear Krishna Katha. Right? His attraction for Krishna Katha only. And now Maitreya Rishi, he honors Vidur. He tells Vidur, Vidur, I'm so thankful to you that you have asked this question from me. And why not? Because I can understand you are so much surrendered to the Supreme Lord. It is not surprising that you are asking these questions. And more so, he also tells Vidurji that you are none other than Yamaraj. Even though you have appeared in the womb of a maid servant, you are son of Vyasdev, right? Being a son of Vyasdev, you have natural attraction for Krishna Katha. And I know you are Yamaraj in your previous life. And because of the curse of Mandavya Rishi, you have gotten this human body. But I'm so thankful to you that you have asked me this question. And now I'm going to describe to you the process of creation. Yeah? So Vidur's exclusive interest in Krishna Katha, and then Maitreya Rishi honors Vidur, and then Maitreya Rishi explained the process of creation. So now he is explaining the process of creation. Let's get our mind focused. So what he's saying is, now nobody existed. Only Bhagwan alone existed before the creation. The Lord by himself. Aham eva sameva grit. In the second canto, 10th chapter, Lord Krishna is saying, only I existed before anything else. So nothing existed, none of these planetary systems, only Krishna existed. Yeah. And then before the creation, the external energy, Maya Shakti, was dormant. We understand there are two Shaktis, Yog Maya and external Mahamaya. Yog Maya is internal potency, which is Krishna's internal potency, and Mahamaya is external. Because there is no material creation, so there was no Maya Shakti. Maya Shakti was dormant. Yeah, this is before the creation. And the Lord, the perfect seer, through the agency of Maya, creates the entire material manifestation. The Supreme Lord, he has nothing to do. He creates, he engages external energy to create this material, cosmos creation or the material manifestation. Now the question comes, why does he create? Why does he do this? Very often people say, why do we have to take birth and go back, and Prabhuji, what is the purpose? So the whole purpose is, Prabhuji Mataji, because we are all conditioned. We are all conditioned souls. So this is an opportunity given to us to remove that conditional covering and go back to God, to serve Him. So this is an opportunity for us to do that. And until such time we are ready, we keep going back and forth. We keep going back and forth. Right? In the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna has also spoken this. 9.7. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjun that all these living entities, Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya, right? All these living entity, O Kunti Putra, right? They yanti, right? Prakritim yanti mameka. In this Prakriti, in this material nature, all the living entities, Sarva Bhutani, they come inside me. Yantis, they come. Mamekam, only into me. At what time? Kalpa Kshaye. At the time, at the end of the Kalp. Right? Yes, Mr. Krishna, yes. Yeah. But Krishna, Radharani is always there. Yes. Yeah. So Kalpashay. So there are two types of annihilation. Please, let me get you focused. One is Brahmaji's day. When Brahmaji's day end, that is the end of the Kalp. And when Brahmaji also is 100 years are completed, that is a complete devastation. So when Brahmaji's day ends, then we are going inside Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. These 7 lower planetary systems and up to the heavenly planets, all these planets, they get burnt out. But the living entities still stay. We are still there. We are always there. But when the total annihilation happens, we go back into the Karanodakshaya. So here Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya, right? All the living entities, O Kunti Putra, Prakritim Yanti Mameka, they come back into me. At what time? Kalpakshay, right? And Punastani Kalp Adau Visrajamya. Bhagavad Gita 9.7. At the end of a Kalp, they come back inside me. And in the Kalp Adau, in the beginning of the Kalp, Visrajamya, I create them again. So that is how the Lord is a perfect. So I'm just like, He creates the entire material manifestation through the agency of Maya. And the question was, why does He create that?
What happens when there is transition between day and night?
Yeah, we go back because we go back inside the Garbhodakshaya. All these plants they just burn down.
Even from day to night.
Yeah. From no. During the day we all there. During the night, just the night time, when Brahmaji is sleeping.
Okay. And then there is like
Mahapralaya is when Brahmaji also his 100 years are complete. And then the whole Brahmand. Yashek Nishwasita Kala Mathavalambe. Right? Brahmaji in Brahma Samhita is saying.
All night of Brahmaji means all the prani Jivatma stays.
Condition stays here. Who are liberated, they go back to Godhead.
Okay.
Who are liberated, they get a chance to go back. But who are still conditioned, because we are just going through, many. Ete Brahmanda Bhari Ananta Jeevan, Bhagwan Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saying, 84 lakh yoni te Kaurava Brahma. So we are all so anant. Sorry? Golok? Nothing. It's all dormant. It's all devastation. We will study that. It will come in the future chapters. Interesting. It's good. We should have these questions. And then we understand, what about me? What is going to happen to me? Where? Nothing. They are just in a dormant state. But our Suksham Sharir, that is there. Yeah. Yes. Mind, intelligence, and false ego. And because you have the remaining. Yes. Sorry? Yeah, he's always there. Yes. Sorry, Prabhu, say again. Love. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Each iteration of cosmos is the karma of Krishna. Is this all Krishna karma?
Okay. two things. It's not Krishna because he doesn't do it directly. It's his expansion, Karanodakshaya Vishnu. Right? It's through him Krishna is doing. Krishna, he doesn't have any business to do these things, but he engages. He has not. Krishna has not. Sorry? Yes, akarma. He has no. He doesn't get any karma. He doesn't. He doesn't get any karma. Sorry, say again.
These actions of Krishna, and akarma to karma.
He's above. Akartur. He doesn't have to perform any action. All he's doing is he's engaging material, external energy to make these creations for us living entities who are conditioned. But he engages external energy, which can't even come closer to Krishna. Through the external energy, all this manifestation happens. This is for us, for you, for all of us, so we get our conditional covering removed and we can go back to Krishna. But Krishna, he doesn't get any karma. There is nothing. He's akartur. I know, sure, Prabhu. Yes, sure. Prabhu, 10 minutes, I think I have to go through this chapter and then we do Q&A after that. And Prabhu has to do Kirtan as well. I just looked at the watch, it's 7:30. So, but yeah, Prabhu, hold on, yeah. Influenced by the eternal time, Kala Chodita, the Pradhan Avyakta is then transformed. So let me just take you through just to the next slide. Okay. So you remember from second canto, the 5 things, remember that Kal, Dravya, Jeev, Karma and Swabhav. Right? Essentially, there are 3 things. Kal is the time factor. Yeah. Dravya, when these universes are coming out of the various pores of Mahavishnu, right? That Dravya is called Pradhan, or that just substance which is egg-like shape, right? Golden egg, however they describe it. Right? But just understand that that is Dravya, that is in that form. Right? And Jeev, the living entities, they have 2 things, Karma and Swabhav. Karma is what we deserve, and Swabhav is what we desire. You have certain desires, but you will only get based on your karma, right, that you deserve. So that's all part of your Suksham Sharir, right? Subtle body. So the living entity desires and what he deserves. That's one thing. Then Kal, time, and Dravya, which is the Pradhan. So when Mahavishnu exhales the Karanodakshaya Vishnu, right? He is Lord's Swamsha, he is Lord's expansion, right? Then from his pore, the golden egg has come out and it is lying in the Karano Odak, right? In the ocean, Karan ocean, it is floating there for many, many years. It's floating there. When it is floating there, now to make it activate, the Karanodakshaya Vishnu, he looks at it. Just by his look, he impregnates that. And the whole thing then transforms into something called Mahat Tattva. So Pradhan, and then Pradhan becomes Mahat Tattva. And in Bhagavad Gita, once again, Lord Krishna, when he's speaking to Arjuna, 14th chapter, verse number 3 and verse number 4. Right? Verse number 3, Lord Krishna is telling, Mama Yonir Mahad Brahma, right? Tasmin Garbham Dhamyaham. Mam Yonir Mahat Brahma Tasmin Garbham, right? I impregnate that Mahat Tattva, right? I impregnate that Mahat Tattva. And then he says, Sambhava Sarva Bhutani Tato Bhavati Bharata. Because I am with my vision, and Krishna can do everything. You know, Vyasdevji, when these Pandu, Dhritarashtra and Vidura were just by looking at, he impregnated them. Because Vyasdevji is none other than Supreme Lord. So Krishna can do Angani Yasya Sakalendriya Vrittivan. Brahmaji is saying he's only, he can eat by his hand, he can hear by his arms, he can do everything, right? So that Supreme Lord, just by his vision, he impregnates that Mahat Tattva, and through that impregnation, he transfers all the living entities into that universe. They're all transferred into that now. Right? Those who have gone back to into this body. Now there are billions of universes. Right? Don't try to say what is the number of the universe that I'm in, probably. Please try to find out. Please don't go that deep. Even I don't know that, right? So, but yeah, so let's come back. Yeah, I hope we are all together, and we have to get through this in 10 minutes, right? So let's focus. So Kal and Jeev has karma and swabhav, and Kal is the time potency, and then the Supreme Lord glance impregnates jivas into material nature. By through his vision, he impregnates, and all the living entities get transferred into that. But they are again in the dormant state, don't have any body or anything. Yeah? Then let's look at it. And that's the pradhan. I said first, the egg is called pradhan. Okay, egg is called pradhan. Supreme Lord looks by his vision, he impregnates and transferred all the living entities into the universe. Right? Now that pradhan becomes mahat tattva. Next. So what happens is, there are three modes now. Once again, what are the three modes? Mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. Right? Right? So all these modes, so actually everything is happening because of these modes. Right? What is the famous verse in Bhagavad Gita where Lord Krishna says, Ahamkar vimudhatma karta hamiti manmete. What is the first line? It will come. But yeah, I just want to give that reference that it is the modes. It is the modes acting. Modes of material nature that is acting. Okay, so we understand pradhan. So this is the process of creation. Okay, now let's go. Now three modes inactive. They are indifferentiated, unmixed state. Right? And then when the mahat tattva comes, once again, every time the Supreme Lord is through his vision only, he looks at once, transformation happens. After some period of time, he looks again, transformation happens. Everything is happening just by his vision. Okay. The mahat tattva is prominent, is sattva gun. Right? The prominent is, there are two gunas there. The sattva gun, which represents the gyan, the knowledge, and the second one is sutra tattva, which is rajas. Sutra as in, you want to do passion. I want to do something. So there are two modes now in the Mahat Tattva. What is the mode of goodness and the mode of passion? Right? There are still, the third mode is there, but now the transformation is happening. It is like you are boiling the milk, you boil the milk, then you take the ghee, and then you can also take the butter, from the yogurt, that process. The transformation is happening. Right? And then after this, the next stage is ahankar. Then the ahankar comes. Ahankar means that I'm the doer. Right? The doer that comes. Okay. And it is prominently in the tamasic. Mode of passion, mode of ignorance, and mode of ignorance. Right? It is still the initial stage, right? So universe is being impregnated by the Supreme. And so now it will slowly start getting clear that mode of goodness, mode of passion, and three category happen. Now from these various modes, the various things will coming out now, one by one. Okay. From the mode of goodness comes the Jnana Shakti, now the energy. When you are in the mode of goodness, the knowledge, the Jnana Shakti comes from the mode of goodness, or the Karta. And then the mode of passion becomes Karana, the Kriya Shakti. Knowledge, and you apply that knowledge to do something Kriya, which is like action, which is mode of passion. Right? And the third thing is Karya, Dravya Shakti, which is the effect, cause and effect. Okay? So that is the third thing. Now they are again classified. We said Adi Devik, Adhyatmik, and Adi Bhutik. So these are the three miseries now. Okay. Now what happens from Adi Dev? And then from Adi Dev now comes mind and the 10 sense devtas. Right? We have 10 senses, 5 knowledge acquiring senses and 5 working senses. Every sense has a demigod. So every sense is controlled. You have no control. So all these demigods, they are the controlling deities of the various senses. Gunanam, Gunalinganam, right? Bhagavan Kapil Dev is telling Mother Devi. So these are the various lingas. Now from Adhyatma comes Prana and the 10 senses and intelligence. From the mode of goodness, mind and 10 sense devatas. From Prana, from Adhyatma comes Prana. Prana is Pranavayu. You do pranayam, the strength, right? And then the 10 senses, 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses, right? And the intelligence. Intelligence sits on the top of the senses. By intelligence, you can control, right? When Gajendra was caught by the crocodile, when Gajendra was caught by the crocodile, then what did Gajendra did? Now Maitreya Rishi is speaking there in the 8th canto. So he is telling that evam, therefore, right? He controlled his buddhi, right? Evam vyavsthito buddhya, right? Vyavsthito, he arranged his intelligence. And through intelligence, what did he do? He samadhaya manohridi. Through intelligence, then he samadhaya, he get focused on his heart, on his mind. And by doing that, then what did he do? Jajapa paramam japyam. He started chanting that param jap. Prag janmani anushikshita. See, this is how you can control. So through his intelligence, evam vyavsthito buddhya, right? Samadhaya manohridi, jajapa paramam japyam, prag janmani anushikshita. When he was King Indradum, he used to chant these prayers. But when he was in the elephant body, he arranged his intelligence and he completely surrendered to the Supreme Lord. And he was really praying that, my dear Lord, how can I pray to you? My dear Lord, please come and rescue me. I want to glorify you. And when he completely arranged his mind, intelligence, everything came into one line, then the jap, which he had learned in the previous life, jajap, then those stutis started coming out. He started glorifying the Supreme Lord. And then the Supreme Lord came. Itne hari aa gaye, pasunan arood bhai. He came and he was on the Garud, and Supreme Lord came. They say well, the lotus that he's holding in his hand, the same lotus which was offered by Gajendra to the Lord. Because Gajendra, when he saw the Lord coming, he had nothing to offer. Very important thing, when we go in front of Krishna, from that pond, he picked up that lotus and he offered to the Supreme Lord. And the crocodile was still chewing his leg. He was about to die. But from his trunk, he lifted that lotus and he offered to Supreme Lord. And Supreme Lord said, my devotee has given it to me. I'm going to keep it forever. So our Acharya says the Supreme Lord. So this is how you can control. So that's the part. That's how intelligence comes in. Yeah. So let's come back to our Adhyatma. Prana, 10 senses and intelligence. 5 knowledge acquiring senses, 5 working senses. And from Adhibhut, Tan Matra and 5 gross elements. What are the 5 gross elements? Agni, Jal, Vayu, Prithvi, Akash. Right? Earth, water, fire, ether, and air. That's right. 5 elements. Now let's look at the hierarchy. So these are the 5 sense devatas. No, 10 sense devatas. So ear, the demigod assigned to ear is a Dig Devta. If you don't have the mercy of Dig Devta, you can't hear. You only hear because of him. Some people, it's not physical ear, right? People who are deaf, they also have the ears. But they can't hear because Dig Devta are not merciful to them. Eyes, sun god. Because of the mercy of sun god, we can hear. Similarly, all these are 10 sense devatas. Right? I have to rush. It's almost time running. Okay. Then these subtle elements, how these gross, from subtle and the gross elements. So the first thing, sound was always there. When the Supreme Lord looked at the sky, the first thing he did, he looked at the sky. And when he looked at the sky with the combination of his impregnation. So here, the Kal, the time factor, the material nature, and Lord's vision. These three combined, they produce ether. Then, when the Supreme Lord looked at the ether now, once again, the time, the Kal, Lord's vision, this is how he's creating. Every time he's impregnating. He looked at just by his look, and from there appeared air and the sense of touch. Yes. And then it says very strong wind blew into the sky. And when Lord looked at it, the fire appeared, or the light appeared, which enabled us to see. And from that also came the form, various forms. Yeah? And the best part is the fire has both elements, air and ether. Right? And then from the combination of fire, air and ether, when Lord looked at it again, then water came, and with the water the taste came. Yeah? And then when the Lord looked at again, the ether, air, fire, water, that all combined, and then came earth. Now this round thing is that the planet, but earth as in mitti, the soil. The smell is from the earth. This is how now all these elements are created, just by the vision of the Lord. Now all these elements are created. Now Maitreya Rishi tells Vidurji that all these ete, as in all these gross elements, these five gross elements, the demigods, all of these, they are still in an unmixed state. It is like you are making a vegetable. You're making matar paneer. Matar is here, paneer is here, curries, spices are here. Everything is separate in unmixed state. Now they are all in the unmixed state. Now ete deva kala Vishnu. All these gross elements and these sense demigods, they are part and parcel of Vishnu. So Maitreya Rishi is telling, oh, Vidurji, they are all part and parcel of Vishnu. But they were just sitting there in the idle state. Nana Tvat Swakarya Anisha. They were not able to perform their activities separately. So in that case, all these demigods, Prochu Pranjalyo Vibhum. Now all the demigods went to the Supreme Lord. They can't see, but they all got together and they started offering prayers to the Supreme Lord. Yeah, Pranjalyo, with folded hands, they started offering prayers to the Supreme Lord, that my dear Lord, please guide us. And now, finally, there will be another vision. The Supreme Lord will look at them again, and by looking at them again, then everything will become active. They will all get into the mixed state. All the living entities, they will take the form, because all the ingredients are here now. 5 gross elements are here, so your subtle body is ready to take a shape now, as per your karma and swabhava, and with the time factor, right? So the transformation will take place, right? So like this, Maitreya now describe the creation, and demigods will offer the prayers. I want to read the prayers, but we don't have time now. We'll have to stop here. I'm seeing some message in the chat. Let me stop. So I hope this is not too confusing, Prabhuji, Mataji, but I thought it is important. Oh, sorry, Mataji, you can't see the slides. I don't know what happened. Okay. Mataji, I will share them with you separately. My apologies.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes. So, but I hope you are all following up, right? We were all together. It's not too confusing, right? But this is how creation happens, Prabhuji Mataji. Now creation has been done. The basic ingredients are there, and all these demigods, they are praying, and the Supreme Lord then gets pleased, and then he gives them. He just prays, and from inside their heart, they get instruction. And now all of us, we start taking various forms, etc. Right? And don't confuse these demigods. You will say now Brahmaji is still not there. You will say Brahmaji is still not there. Why these demigods are here? He can have 10 pair of demigods. The Lord can create 10 pair of demigods. Those demigods will be now, they are the son of Mother Diti and
Kashyap.
who is the Rishi Mataji? Kashyap Rishi, very nice, yes. So Brahmaji, now Brahmaji's mind-born sons, and then Daksh Prajapati's daughters, and then they will get, all those marriages and whatever, and then the Praja will increase, right? But these ingredients are there. Now for them to take a shape, they will have to enter into the womb of the mother.
Yes.
So don't be confused. Now the basic ingredients are created. The living entities are assigned there as per their desires, as per their karma. They are assigned a womb. And now with the time, Kala Shakti, with the time your time will come, you will appear. You will take birth, actually not appear. Sometimes we just glorify each other. Prabhu, happy appearance day. My God. My God. We have rotted in the womb of the mother. Bhagwan Kapil Dev describes the state. Vin mutra koop patito. Vin as in stool. Mutra as in urine. Blood. In that well of blood, urine and stool. Imagine. And you call yourself appearance. So let's be careful. Yes, we celebrate appearance of Srila Prabhupada. They are Mahabhagavat. But you hear, did Supreme Lord take a birth from the womb of the mother? No, he appeared. On Janmashtami, we discuss how Supreme Lord Krishna, he appeared. He did not come out from the womb of the mother. Rather, he came from the heart. Krishna can come from anywhere, but we are the conditioned living entities. We have to rot into the womb of the mother. We are, because like I said, this is a chance. We have these conditions and we are put into the womb of the mother. In the womb of a mother, when you are 7 months old, we remember our past 100 lives. And we pray to the Supreme Lord that, my dear Lord, I don't want to enter into the womb of another mother. The position was so painful inside the womb of the mother. We prayed with folded hands. The child is offering the prayers inside the womb, that I don't want to enter again. But the moment child comes out, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. And some will bring, golden necklace and, golden clothes. And mera beta, oh my Raju, oh my Puchi, this, and then you forget everything.
Puchi.
And you think this is it. Yes, Mataji. Then we think this is it. That's it. Yahi mera swarg hai. This is my samsar. This is my everything. Remember the question that Vidurji asked? Sukhaya karmani karoti. And then they get into that cycle of how to stay happy here all the time. Too much heat, get an air con. Too much winter, get a heater. Right? Too much trouble walking by train, get a car. Then you get a loan for the car, EMIs for the car, get a mortgage and this. And by the time you realize you are 60 and now it's time to go. Yeah. So that's the point. Okay, so I hope we understand. Maitreya now asked the questions and he asked the first questions. So there are 5 sections in this chapter. He asked his questions. Then he also expressed his desire that he exclusively want to hear about Lord Krishna. And then Maitreya congratulated him, thanked him for his questions. Then Maitreya speaks about the creation. I hope this creation is not too complicated, right? But at least we can understand our position, right? And then even before the body starts functioning, the demigods have gone and prayed to the Supreme Lord. You can't even pass stool without the permission. So the Mitra is the demigod for the sense of evacuation. If the Mitra demigod is not pleased, then you can't even evacuate. Then they have to put a pipe in your body. See, this is the condition of the body. So that is why we have to be very careful, not to disrespect the demigods, not to put just anything and everything inside the body. Only prasad. Bhunjate te tum agam papam ye pachante atma karana. Lord Krishna is saying, who are just eating for the pleasure of the body, they are only eating the sins. That is why we should honor the prasad. We say honor the prasadam. We don't say eat the prasadam. Eating is done by demons. They say, "Main kha jaunga." Not demons. Demons eat. Devotees honor. They honor the prasad. All right, I have to stop now. It's 7:50. Devatma Prabhu is here. We have to hear the kirtan, and like I said, very smooth. So Prabhu will sing very nicely, softly. Let's follow the kirtan, and then we 7:50 now. We will start about 8:15. We'll do Aarti. So Mataji, if you want to stay online, you can hear the kirtan. Prabhuji, Divyatma Prabhu, he sings very nice kirtan on his guitar. Prabhu is here today with us. Krishna
Yes,
Prabhu is
Prabhuji.
also here. We can put the camera on that side. If
Yes,
you-
Prabhuji.
yeah, you would like to see? Okay, Mata.
Yeah.
Okay. Granth Raj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki